The Arctic is no longer silent. Far above the world's busiest capitals, Greenland has become the center of a global power struggle, and now it is drawing a hard line. Greenland's government says its defense must come through NATO, not through a takeover. Not now, not ever. US President Donald Trump has renewed his claim that America must own Greenland, warning that Russia or China could seize the strategically vital island if Washington does not act first. One way or the other, we are going to have Greenland, Trump said.
Look, if we don't take Greenland, Russia or China will, and I'm not letting that happen. If we don't take Greenland, Russia or China will take Greenland, and I am not going to let that happen.
Is there any deal they can offer you?
Yeah, sure. I'd love to make a deal with them. It's easier. But one way or the other, we're going to have Greenland. Well, maybe NATO would be upset if I did it. Maybe NATO would save a lot of money. But I like NATO. I just wonder whether or not if we needed NATO, would they be there for us? I'm not sure they would. We spend a lot of money on NATO, and I'm not sure they would. Greenland should make the deal because Greenland does not want to see Russia or China take over. They don't go there. It's very far away from Greenland. And Greenland, basically, their defense is 2 dog sleds. Do you know that? You know what their defense is? 2 dog sleds. In the meantime, you have Russian destroyers and submarines and China destroyers and submarines all over the place. We're not going to let that happen.
In the meantime, are you going
And if it affects NATO, then it affects NATO. But, they need us much more than we need them. I will tell you that right now.
But Greenland's answer is unmistakable. As part of the Danish Commonwealth and a member of NATO, Greenland says its future will be decided by international law and by its own people. The message echoes across Europe. Denmark has ruled out any US takeover. European leaders warn that military action against a NATO ally could mean the end of NATO itself, and now Washington is reacting. A bipartisan group of US lawmakers is heading to Denmark, Democrats and Republicans standing side by side, signaling support for Danish sovereignty and NATO unity. Their message: alliances must be strengthened, not shattered. Democratic Senator Chris Coons of Delaware is leading the trip to Copenhagen, which includes several other members of Congress, including Republican Senator Tom Tillis of North Carolina. The group is expected to meet on Friday and Saturday with government officials and business leaders from Denmark and Greenland, which is an autonomous Danish territory. Behind the scenes, diplomacy intensifies. Trump administration officials prepare for talks with Danish leaders, even as the president refuses to rule out military options. Meanwhile, NATO's Secretary General Mark Rutte insists there is no crisis, praising Trump for pushing allies to spend more on defense, even as tensions rise. Rutte says the Arctic is changing. Sea lanes are opening. Russia is watching. China is moving closer.
Allow me to add a few words related to Greenland, Denmark, and the signals that have been coming from the US administration. We have been communicating with the Danish government, with Prime Minister Frederiksen. We were in Paris together last week. And this week, according to announcement, there will be a meeting with State Secretary Rubio. The message of all allies and all EU members is that allies have to respect each other, including the US as the largest NATO member. It is obvious what Secretary General said, that there is some concern for the area of Arctic, which includes Greenland, but I am confident that with discussion we can find a solution that will ensure security for the US, and it will make sure that Greenland is a part of Denmark, although it's not in the EU, but it is clear that it is within the authority of Denmark. That's why high-quality dialogue is necessary, and it can definitely resolve this situation for the benefit of the global security.
Yeah, let me start with challenge you a bit on the second part of your question. What I always do is when people are helpful for the alliance and are doing good stuff, and I believe that Donald Trump is doing the right things for NATO, by encouraging us all to spend more, to equalize this what the US is spending. We had a very successful summit in The Hague, where we decided on the 5% defense spending, including 3.5% from core defense. I'm absolutely convinced without Donald Trump, we would never have had that result at the summit in The Hague. We have now the whole of the alliance on this famous 2%, which we announced in 2014 in Wales. I'm absolutely convinced without Donald Trump, we would not have the whole alliance at this moment on the 2% and now working towards the 3.5%, incredible steps. So when I praise somebody, it is based on facts, and I believe the facts are there. We might disagree, but that is how I see this. As NATO Secretary General, it is my role to make sure that the whole of the alliance is as secure and safe as possible. And I applaud the fact that our colleagues who are bordering on the Arctic have come together, have worked together, and have decided to get NATO more and more involved. This was the discussion in Brussels I referred to in answering a few previous questions. Earlier last year in September and other moments last year when we discussed the High North. And we are now building on that. You've seen some announcements by the Brits and the Germans today. We are working now together to see how we can basically together as an alliance, including our 7 members, our allies bordering on the High North, on the Arctic, to work together to indeed build that next step, which is crucial. That's the United States, that's Canada, that's Iceland, Denmark, and the other European countries bordering on the High North, all 7, but of course with the whole of the alliance. By the way, as we speak, we see Denmark at the moment already speeding up their investments when it comes to defense, not only generally, but also when it comes to unique capabilities to defend territories like Greenland. So they're buying more F-35s, they're working on air-to-air refueling, they have bought these P-8 Boeings, the long-range drones. Billions invested there in American equipment necessary to defend Denmark, NATO, but also territories like Greenland. So we are really working together here. And my only worry is, how do we stay safe against the Russians, against any other adversary? Look at what China is doing in rapidly building up its own armed forces, but also North Koreans and others who might wish us ill, and not well at least. And therefore, that's my role, and I think we will get there.
So no crisis whatsoever?
No, not at all, and I think we are really working in the right direction.
7 Arctic nations are NATO members. 1 is not, Russia, and Greenland sits at the center of it all. A minerals-rich territory, a strategic military gateway, a symbol of sovereignty in an age of great power rivalry. For Greenland, the choice is clear. Its defense will be collective, its future will be democratic, and its sovereignty non-negotiable. As the Arctic heats up, the world is watching, because what happens in Greenland may decide far more than who controls an island. It may decide the future of NATO itself.